I want to see Peachtree Corners succeed because this is where my home is.
Right.
And I'm here to build and make this place a place where you and I can raise our children and bring our families together. And I'm to do everything to make Gwinnett the best place to live.
You're listening to Peachtree Corners Life, a weekly online radio show sharing ideas, opinions, and news about the city of Peachtree Corners. Now, your host, Rico Figliolini.
Hi, everyone. This is Rico Figliolini, host of Peachtree Corners Life and publisher of Peachtree Corners Magazine. I appreciate you guys joining us, and we have a special guest today. But before we get to that, I just want to acknowledge our sponsor here at Atlanta Tech Park in the city of Peachtree Corners. We're in their podcast studio. Atlanta Tech Park is an accelerator, huge place. Lots of startups and mid-sized companies ready to be pushed out of the nest, and they're doing a lot of high-tech stuff here. This actually sits on Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners, which is a stretch of road about 1.5 miles that is an autonomous vehicle track that's a live living track. The mobile IoT-type technology companies can come here and experiment in live environment to see how their equipment, software, and such works. So just a great opportunity to be in a great place in the city of Peachtree Corners. Now, to get to my guest today, is Rabbi Yossi Lerman.
Hi.
Thank you, Rabbi, for coming. Rabbi Yossi Lerman is head of the Chabad of Gwinnett, and we're going to be discussing a little bit about that, the philosophy and the outreach. Scott Frank also is chairman of the building committee for Chabad of Gwinnett. They're creating a Chabad enrichment center. So it's a piece that's going to be, like many of our faith institutions, providing a lot of good outreach and good places here in Peachtree Corners. And Jim Gaffey, who's president of the men's club at the Marriott Queen Church. Jim, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Rico.
Good community support from local church.
That's correct.
Excellent. Scott, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you for having us.
So, Rabbi, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you come from and who you are.
Well, sure. My best topic to talk about myself, because I should know myself. I consider myself a very lucky person. I am married. We've been married for 32 years to my dear wife, Esther. And we've been blessed with 7 children.
Wow. And
by now, all of my kids are out of the house. They've established, many of them married and established their life and in school and in a direction of life. And so I am a person that every day I wake up and I ask myself a simple question. What can I do to enrich someone's life? I might use a little philosophical question here because we're adults and we can think about this. Uh-huh. And if we can answer this philosophical question, I think we can answer the most important question of life. Okay, here's the question. A zebra.
Okay.
Is a zebra white with black stripes? Or is a zebra black with white stripes?
Right.
Okay. That's the question that I'd like to pose here today. And of course, that could be expanded. Am I a good person sometimes doing wrong things? Or am I a bad person sometimes doing good things?
I haven't heard it that way before. Interesting.
Or we continue to expand. Am I a physical human being sometimes having a soulful spiritual experience?
Mm-hmm.
Or in fact, am I a soul, a spiritual being in a physical body having a physical experience?
Wow. Now that's getting deep now.
Okay. So let's start with quote.
That is deep, though. I like that.
My point is, of course, is that we're always looking for the positive.
Sure.
And that's something that, as an organization and as a movement, our movement is Chabad. Chabad is an international educational and humanitarian organization. Chabad is more or less throughout the entire world. We have over 5,000 offices throughout the world.
No, so that people understand, because it's, lots of Baptists, a lot of Catholic, so Jewish people. I grew up among in Brooklyn. It was just, they were my best friends and everything. Is Chabad a separate sect of the Jewish community? How is that? How would that relate to that?
Good question. Chabad is mainstream Judaism.
Okay.
And Chabad has utilized a secret formula. And this secret formula is known as Kabbalah. Kabbalah is available, and Kabbalah is a school of thought that does delve deeper into the realities,
right?
Like the black stripes or the white stripes, or am I good or am I a bad in essence, or am I a soul or am I a body? So that is Kabbalistic thinking. And so Chabad has utilized lots of the Kabbalistic teachings for one purpose, and that is to enrich people's lives.
Cool.
And so our teachers, our Chabad teachers, in our generation, I'm a follower of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. To many, he's known as the Rebbe. Probably one of the greatest dynamic teachers and leaders of Jewish world in our century. He's the one motivating, inspiring all of his followers, including many of his rabbis around the world. And the message is one of, let's bring light. And if you will take a look, I'll show you what I'm thinking about. When you ask people what kind of symbol, when they think of Judaism, what comes to mind in a image, in a physical form? Let me ask you that question. What kind of...
The Star of David.
Star of David. Right. Thank you very much. Star of David. That's the Israeli flag.
Right.
But most people don't realize is that there's actually no biblical reference or sources to a Star of David.
Really?
Yeah.
Never knew that.
So that's another good question. Another topic is it's Star of David. Star of David is very Kabbalistic. But mainstream Jewish symbols, in fact, if you go to Israel, you'll find this on the main building of the Congress, the Knesset. And that's a candelabra.
Right.
People know about Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the menorah, the candelabra. We use the candelabra as our logo. Okay?
Now, and we'll have that logo on our show notes, so this way listeners can see it too.
And so our message is that I'm not trying to convince anybody anything they don't already know or they don't already have. What we're all about is to turn the lights on. Turn the lights on, allowing people to see for themselves. They're going to discover on their own what's going on around them, what's a good decision, what's not a very good decision, what's healthy, what's not healthy. And that light that I'm talking about comes from the Torah. That's, of course, the Bible. We consider that to be the most sacred, divine study and object that we have on planet Earth.
So, Torah, like the Bible, like for Gentiles, I guess. So that would be the same sort of, or not, comparison.
Yeah, we have one Bible.
Right. So we've talked a little bit about the philosophy about Chabad. And I don't want to neglect that out of that philosophy, you both have co-authored a book. So I'll show this up here. Less Stress, More Joy. So Scott Frank and Yossi here, Rabbi, co-authored this book because they came out of that philosophy of harmony, of peace, of outreach. So tell us, just give us a minute or two on this, on the book. Why and what is it for?
Okay,
Either one of you.
We actually, Scott and I, came about this from our own personal life and our own personal experience. As a member of Chabad, joy was always the ultimate experience. If you're not joyful, then you're really not experiencing life. And we are very strong into clear your mind and heart from all negative emotions. And that's what we teach. Chabad is very big in education. The word Chabad is a Hebrew word, and we'll just say that it means knowledge. So we're very much into how to turn the lights on, information, knowledge.
Would you say the Kabbalah also informed the book a little bit? That whole...
Yes, the answer is yes. For coming from my contribution to the book, it came directly out of the studies of Torah and Kabbalah and Chassidut.
How long have you been involved with Rabbi Yossi, with Chabad of Gwinnett, with this part of the faith, if you will?
Yeah, it goes back to 2012 is when we first met. And to be honest with you, I had never met an Orthodox rabbi before. And I actually went to a Rosh Hashanah dinner and shook his hand, and I thought that probably the last time I ever spoke to him. It's interesting. He followed up with a phone call to me and said, "Would you mind having lunch?" And I'm one of those people, and this gets into the book, that believes like everything kind of happens for a reason, and anybody that asks me for lunch, I go to lunch with or I'll meet with. And so I met with an Orthodox rabbi for lunch. I thought he was asking for money. I thought he was going to try to maybe get me to join his Orthodoxy. I didn't know what he wanted exactly, but I went with an open mind and a peaceful heart. And we turned out to have more in common than we had expected, at least I had expected. I had never met someone who 24/7 was giving his life and his family's life to helping people. He very much was caring about me, and we connected. I think we connected in a way he didn't expect either. But he comes at it from Torah and Kabbalah. I come at it. I wasn't raised very Jewish, and I can't come at it from self-help books and from conferences and radio shows and podcasts.
Right.
So, but we both had the same goal, which is trying to live a joyful life, trying to help people. And we actually started on a monthly lunch, which over the last few years has now become a weekly meeting. And we realized that we could together help people in a way that we don't know that anybody else has, because we come at it from different places. And together we have come up with this peace, harmony, joy approach to living a better life.
That's funny. I think Jim can appreciate this. I was a former Catholic, grew up Italian, Catholic, Brooklyn. I mean, you can't, unless you're Irish, you can't get further into the church, I guess. But then I moved south, became a Reagan Democrat, although that's sort of gone by the wayside. Baptist, born again Christian. But I was a non-practicing Catholic, and I'm somewhat of a non-practicing Christian right now. So I see, what you said before. You've learned from self-help books, from going that route. So what was the biggest takeaway that you learned from the rabbi doing this book? What's the thing that you learned probably best out of it? What came to fruition from it for you?
The biggest thing I learned was that, on the outside, he looks like a Orthodox rabbi. He almost looks unapproachable. I mean, he is such a man of God, and he's such a spiritual person. And yet, on the inside, he's just like all of us. He has feelings. He has experiences. And he is striving to have a better life, a wonderful life, just like all of us.
Right. And Rabbi, what about you? Working with Scott on this book, is there anything different that was surprising that you learned? Or?
I was very surprised. It's almost like saying, I know why I'm doing this. And for me, it's like a calling. And I associate that calling to God. Then I found this individual who didn't seem like he was engaged in any religion. Yet, he's just like me. Where he is devoted 24/7 to the cause. All Scott wants to know is, how can I make this world a better place? And I said, that's what I want to do. And we're both about the same age, and we realized, if not now, when? So I was very inspired by that, and I felt that while I'm sometimes unapproachable and people expect things from me, but if Scott says it, and he'll share with them the same message, people are going to listen.
Yeah.
And so that was the big aha moment. Plus, I think that we both took our system and we applied it in our factory, which means we actually had a laboratory and see how this works. And the laboratory is the Jewish community in Gwinnett County, where we started giving classes, started giving workshops. I see my role as step one. Let's peacefully relax. Just calm down. You can't talk to somebody who is stressed out, who is all over the place, who's juggling 25 balls and on the phone. You can't talk to somebody. That person's just not available.
Sure.
So I find my role as helping people peacefully calm down, relax. Step one, peace. I studied, and I want to mention that in the Bible, it says in this week's Torah, it says the very first thing that God said to Moses, the very first words coming out of God to Moses. Okay, everybody wonders, what did God say? What did God say? What did God say? He said, Moses, take off your shoes. Take off your shoes. What lies in that? And I always read into that, at least one of interpretations. Relax.
Yeah.
This is like your bedroom. You can take your shoes off here. You can take off your armor. You can relax. So I saw this happen in our community. I saw people coming, and why are they coming? To relax. They're coming as if they're going to a shrink or they're going to a therapy. First step, peacefulness. Second step, bringing people together, harmony. We do this on a daily basis, filling up a room with people, making sure that there is peace in the sense of there is harmony,
sure,
that there is respect for each other, appreciation for each other. And I do need to control that. Together with the peace and then the harmony, we reach joy. So that's the story here, where we not just had the idea and how we strive for this, but we actually put this to the test, and then came the book.
Cool. So for those that would like to pick it up, it is Less Stress, More Joy, and you can go to peaceharmonyjoy.org.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon, right.
And by the way, it's for $3.58. We're no profit.
Really?
That is the minimum that Amazon will sell a book for. For $3.58, you can have that book too.
Excellent. So that's where you would go for this. And you should visit, actually, ChabadGwinnett.org also to find out a little bit more about Chabad enrichment. So let's talk a little bit about that. How long has Chabad of Gwinnett actually been When was it founded? How long has it been around?
Yeah. Chabad just celebrated 18 years in Peachtree Corners, which is Peachtree Corners today. It was Norcross. So we moved out 18 years ago. And I remember the day we moved out because that was a very, very significant day in American history. The day Chabad of Gwinnett was born was 9/11.
Oh, wow.
We were coming from such a dark place, a place of fear, a place of hate, of uncertainty. I knew right away what my mission is. I figured if 11 people can cause so much panic into the world, well, we can find 11 people to bring more peacefulness into the world. And so Chabad was born 9/11. And significantly, that is right in the high holiday season of our Jewish New Year.
Right.
For me, the mission and the cause is so clear and so obvious. The numbers really speak for itself. Gwinnett County has a Jewish population of about 10,000 Jewish homes. I know that because I have the data. In fact, I'm probably the only one who has this data, and nobody's getting it because this comes from a place of trust. People trust me with their information.
Right.
They know, the Jewish community knows I'm there for them. And so it's more than, Chabad is much more than a synagogue. That's for the records. Chabad is more of an enrichment center. And enrichment can apply to everyone, including Jews, including non-Jews, including all of faith, because our message is universal.
It's interesting because Gwinnett County is probably the most diverse county in the state of Georgia.
Right.
So when I moved here myself in 95, I didn't realize how diverse it was, especially Peachtree Corners of this area before originally called Norcross. Probably not as diverse as the rest of the county, but became more so as it went through. More urbanized, actually, and it's going to get more urbanized. Do you see that changing also the way the Chabad Enrichment Center will focus? I mean, this county is changing.
It's changing, and I think that it's a healthy situation. It's a healthy condition where minorities should take care of themselves, which means that if somebody needs something, they need a doctor, they need a reference for an attorney, they will turn to me and say, Rabbi, who do you know?
Right.
Because you're going to go to somebody of your own ethnic or whatever background. So we take care of each other. And that's why I consider ourselves the enrichment program, and we are dedicated to enrich the quality of life, whether it's material, emotional, physical, or mental. We cover it all. And the picture is there's only one other synagogue in the entire Gwinnett County.
Is it the one on the border, Beth Shalom? Or you're talking about another
Beth Shalom is not in Gwinnett County.
Right, it's just outside.
The one English-speaking synagogue is in Snellville, Georgia.
Ah, okay.
And that's Beth David.
Okay.
It's a Reformed temple.
Okay. I've
been there a number of times because I would love to see them grow. In fact, I would love to see more synagogues in Gwinnett County. I'm sitting at a level where I want to see more activity in Gwinnett County. So we have 10,000 Jewish families and one synagogue. What's wrong with that picture?
Yeah, it's hard to service, if you will, that population, right?
So Chabad is the perfect match for this scenario. In other words, if you brought in a conservative temple, some Jews might say, I'm not conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might just say, I'm unaffiliated. Don't you get it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be affiliated. That's why I moved out to Gwinnett County. Chabad represents to many, it's to people to go to when you need help. Chabad has a very, very interesting, just an open mind of accepting everyone, appreciating everyone. And like I said earlier, it's really about, I am always looking for what's positive in you. I want to help you be the best you are. And so I'm a gold digger. What does that mean? I know there is gold here. We got to dig. We haven't found it yet? No problem. Dig deeper.
Right.
I know there's good in every individual. I know there is a soul in every individual. I know there is a soul in every encounter and in every experience. There's good in everything. So right now, Chabad is it in Gwinnett County. And
well, that's good. So I'm going to segue now into a quiet, strong man here, Jim Gaffey. He's been quiet here and just listening in with us. But he's been a supporter, right? You've been a bit of a supporter of
Yes, since I first found out about them through, coincidentally, Scott Frank's mother and I are friends.
Small
and there
world.
was an approach there. By the way, Scott Frank's mother introduced Scott to the rabbi at a Rosh Hashanah meal.
yes.
Inherently, my background is very inclusive. Grew up similar to you in a community in Brooklyn at the border of Flatbush and Crown Heights, and many of my friends came from a background. And when I first moved here in 1980, that was not what I found. It was almost a singular community of one background and one faith. However, we have, over the last 30 years, built our own community, Catholic community, represented here in the Peachtree Corners area at Mary Queen Catholic Church. So that was the basis of how I came to understand the Chabad and its attempts to grow. We're here for full support of that growth. The men's club, as you have been a speaker at the men's club, we've had many different diverse backgrounds as speakers. And for us, this was a natural progression of our outreach in the community. Presently, there are 9 congregations around us. Why not the Chabad of Gwinnett?
Sure.
And so that's an initial answer to your question. Why are we here and what are we doing? Is to support them and welcome them into our community.
I totally appreciate that because, like you, growing up in New York, every other block was either a church or a synagogue, at least from where I came from in Brooklyn.
Can I interrupt for a moment?
Sure. Go ahead.
Because I think this should go public. The fact that we're sitting here together, we're talking about a Jewish organization, and Jim Gaffey is here, and to support it. This is messianic. This is amazing. And publicly, on behalf of the Jewish community and the Jewish world, I want to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
And your commitment and devotion is so real. We feel it. We really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
Jim has been a great supporter of so many different things. So I totally agree with that. And I mean, whether it's from the church or anywhere in the community, he's always been a connector. So Jim has always put me to someone or brought me in somewhere. And it's been an interesting bit of a journey. Every once in a while, we'll be not talking for months. And then all of a sudden I get a text from Jim. By the way, did you know? So always someone in there trying to help out. So appreciate that. You doing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So look forward to the next men's meeting, by the way. And I'll ask you about that at the end of the show. Who's up next, by the way, for the next era? I'd like to put that out. So we've talked a bit about about Chabad itself, about the Enrichment Center, about the book, about the outreach. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on now with the idea of creating another faith institution, if you will, building structure here in Peachtree Corners. I mean, we have, like you said, we have 9, Jim, right?
Yes.
Baptist, Protestant, Presbyterian, a variety. No reason there should not be a Chabad of Gwinnett Enrichment Center in this area as well. And you guys own a piece of land that's on Spalding Drive. Just so that people are familiar where it is, it's sort of a triangle-ish piece that is across from Village Park. And I was there this morning to meet some people. And it's down the road from, or up the road, depending on how you look at it, from Peachtree Elementary. So not a great corner, but a corner that can be adjusted if need be. But you own a piece of land there, and actually another piece that came to fruition that's married up with it now almost. And that's where you're looking to do the Enrichment Center.
Yes, thank you. So it was clear to us from the get-go that a facility is necessary, a physical structure that has the right space and the amenities of a enrichment center that could include a library, that could include a kitchen to help feed people, naturally a sanctuary, a place to have classes.
Sure.
So back in 2006, we're doing the search. We're looking around. We always knew that Norcross is going to be our base. As I keep talking about Gwinnett, but we knew that Norcross has the largest Jewish population of Gwinnett. And so Norcross is where I parachuted out. I actually looked in the paper looking for a house for rent and called the number and came. And I rented a house in the neighborhood off Peachtree Corners. And from day one, we knew that we will need a facility. Right now, we're renting space on Holcomb Bridge Road.
Office building or structure?
Building. Yes, we have approximately, I would say, about 2,000 square feet.
I can't tell you how many churches have started out in Technology Park, let's say, or places like that, and then became had their own place.
That's exactly what our church did.
Absolutely.
First in an office park.
And as they say, you build them, they will come.
Yes.
We have outgrown our facility. We're busting at its seams. Frankly, if you were interested in making a bar mitzvah for your son, I wouldn't have space for you.
Wow.
I wouldn't have space for a service for 150, 200 people. So what do we call that? That's like you're not equipped. How can you call yourself a center if you're not able to facilitate?
And it's not like you can, a bar mitzvah, for those that might not know, is like confirmation at that grade for the Catholic faith or something along those lines. But it's also kosher. You need to have a kosher kitchen.
Yeah.
So you can't just find that anywhere. It's not like it's going to pop up.
Right.
So,
and I'm talking about life cycle events.
Yeah.
Which is a big draw. Why do people go to synagogue? Why do they go to a rabbi? It's typically one of the big ones is life cycle events. Life cycle events can start from birth. Could be circumcision. Right. It could be Hebrew school. It could be bat mitzvah. It could be marriage. It could be the life after that, educating children. I'm also a life coach. I personally coach people in life issues. And then, of course, involved with people as they age, which is a very big subject. Take a look at Spalding Drive and what's going on there. Right. We're having these senior assisted living.
Sure.
Funerals is what brings us a lot of people to the rabbi. So we knew right away we need the facility. We bought the property. For us, it was ideal because it's on Spalding Drive. We looked around. There's churches everywhere. So this is like the headquarters. This is perfect. the land was O&I, and so we bought it. And immediately we went to the
O&I is, for those that don't know, office industrial, which you're already allowed to build a faith institution on an O&I zoned property. Right?
Exactly. We went to civil engineering. We went to full architectural engineering, which you could see on our website. Again, we have the actual drawings on our website. Mm-hmm. And then the economy dropped. And literally, pledges disappeared. And now it's almost 10 plus years after that. Right. And luckily, and God blessed me to have Scott Frank. And Scott is the chairperson of the building campaign. He has a lot of experience leading groups, a lot of experience pointing to the top of the mountain and getting the crowds there. Let's go. So he's leading our campaign. So what happens next, or next question?
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say, since you head the building committee, you want to speak to that, Scott?
Sure. Yeah, we're, basically about 3 years ago, we kicked off the building campaign. We actually resurrected, again, back to 2006, right before the recession. They had, before I was affiliated with this Chabad of Gwinnett, they had architectural drawings for a 2-story, 12,000 square foot building. Mm-hmm. You described our property correctly. It's kind of a triangle shape. Right. The building is actually kind of triangle shaped, but it's a beautiful structure. And so we pulled those out about 3 years ago. Full civil engineering drawings. I mean, everything that's ready to go to permitting. And now we just simply needed the money. And 10 years later, it does cost a lot more money. So we started fundraising again, and we started talking to the city and really getting all the wheels in motion. And so we've raised a lot of money, and we still got more to raise, but it's coming along nicely. And we, again, you go to our website, you can see the future structure. And
do you foresee, when do you foresee, if everything comes together, when the shovel hits the dirt? Yeah,
well, our goal here is in the next few years, honestly. Okay. But what's interesting, and this was kind of a gift from above. A little over a year ago, the property next door freed up. So we're raising this money. And by the way, we're talking it's going to cost several $1 million to build our enrichment center. And so and we're raising money, but it's taken some time. The house next door opens up, and we've always had our eyes. You're always looking to expand, right? You're always having your eyes on properties. But the house next door, we've known the people for many years. They said they'd be willing to sell it to us when they eventually were willing to move. And so they signed a contract with us early last year for a set price. And but they said, we're not planning to move anytime in the near future. But the good news is we knew we had that property in the future. Mm-hmm. A few months later, we got an email that the husband there had been ill recently. They're fairly elderly, and they were going to move into assisted living. So last year, we actually became proud owners in May of the property next door, really? Which actually is going to allow us to move into a building sooner and with some relatively minor expansion have something much better than the building in the office park.
Really? Wow. Okay.
If I might add, that replicates or almost mirrors the experience of Mary Our Queen there. Moved into originally as a mission out of All Saints in Dunwoody, right, into an office park. Then we were able to buy land on East Jones Bridge Road. Mm-hmm. That became actually a soccer field for all the Catholic churches, all the Catholic schools in the Atlanta area until we could get our wherewithal. Then we concentrated on actually getting the property at Corners Parkway and Crooked Creek, just down the street from the Shabbat's property. And then the market collapsed. Mm-hmm. We were going to move a church from Buffalo. That's a long story that's been out there. Everybody's aware of that. It was a real struggle through the economic decline. Mm-hmm. We kept focus. We kept our prayers towards our goals. I was partially involved in keeping those goals from our original concept. Now we've opened a tremendous sanctuary.
Beautiful, too.
By the way, people in the community should be aware when a church opens a sanctuary, everything around it is enriched, if I could borrow a word.
Yes.
Ours was over a $9 million commitment. The Shabbat's commitment is over $3 million. That's committed into the community. That raises, yes, it has traffic issues. Those issues can be addressed, but it raises the standard in the community, and it certainly raises the value of every home in the community. It stabilizes communities. So I just wanted to show that there's a mirroring, and I remember when Peachtree Corners Baptist Church was 2 double wides on that property.
Oh, yeah.
I also remember United Methodist Simpson United Methodist, 2 double wides in the Simpson community. As you know, I've been involved in all of these things at the very beginning, actually helping them put out folding chairs through friends.
I remember
Jim,
you telling me that.
We need some help. Could you bring us some guys? We built the Peachtree Corners first North Manor Swim and Tennis Club the same way on property donated by Jim Coward. So to see them now struggling, it was like, of course we're going to help you. Of course we're going to help the Shabbat. Of course we want you here in our community. There's almost no disagreement with that. We cannot even understand how you could not want to continue to build this very diverse, inclusive community. It's not just because of our shared backgrounds, Rico. To me, it's just something that you do. How could you not want that level of investment in the community?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Maybe it's my experience. I was on the planning commission in Gwinnett County at one point for a few years, and that was early on. I think it was late 90s, early 2000s, and I got exposed to NIMBY, out of my neighborhood type of deal, where it didn't matter what it was. When people move into a place, they don't want anything changing, and it's like they want to be the stopgap, the last person that comes in, and nothing after that. But I think that's changed a bit. I think there are more people that understand that, the world is different. The world changes, and we need to be inclusive. We need to be able to look at, I agree with you, faith institutions provide a stable place in the community, and only enriches, we'll take that word also, the community, just like any other faith institution. We have 9 here in Peachtree Corners.
Yeah, there's 2 things. I can remember when they didn't want to have the steeple on Peachtree Baptist Church.
Yes, I remember that.
I also remember when there was a sports building that was converted into a church, and there was an uproar at each one of those things along the line. There was some resistance in the size of facility that we were building on a 15-acre property that we owned. So these are just to match your words, first resistance, then realization of the positive aspects of this.
Go ahead, Rabbi. I'm sorry, we're not leaving you out of the conversation. Go ahead.
Right. I'm here to actually, we're already in the Peachtree Corners structure or neighborhood. We've been here for 18 years.
Yeah, it's not like you're just dropping in.
We're not knocking on the door and asking, please let me in. We are here, and the community we serve, at least the ones that live nearby, we have about 500 families in the Peachtree Corners city. And I want you to understand that when we use names like Chabad of Gwinnett, there's a reason we say the location. Because we're here to stay. I'm not moving to another location if something else comes up. And so I want to see Peachtree Corners succeed, because this is where my home is.
Right.
And I'm here to build and make this place a place where you and I can raise our children and bring our families together. So location is critical. I am the one in charge of Gwinnett, and I do everything to make Gwinnett the best place to live.
I think as far as this, because there would be an involved rezoning to that residential piece of property that just came in, right? So it's adding to an INO property already that exists where you can already build on. So you could build if you wanted to. I mean, that's not the point. The point is, I think some people were afraid of too much traffic in the area. Now, granted, there's a church up the block, there's Village Park, there's the post office, there's the fire department, there's a technology park, there's a charter school down the block. There's traffic on that road, and it's actually not bad. I mean, I drive through there at 9, 8, 7 in the morning, and so yes, Peachtree Corners Elementary is down the block also. And so there's some traffic issues. There is that corner part that we talked about at the beginning. That's a bit of a line of sight issue there. And I think that is something that can be addressed at some point before development probably begins, where they can fix that over there. And probably needs to be, because that line of sight is bad there. And just traffic's sake, even if nothing got built in that corner, that needs to be fixed. If that's the only issue, really, and it seems to be the overdriving issue as far as traffic goes, then I myself personally can't see a problem with it. I mean, heck, we're putting 900 units of active living on East Jones Bridge Road, in addition to what's already there. And actually, no one said anything about that. And I'm surprised, because I originally thought people would be upset with that there would be that much more traffic on that road. But everyone's fine with it. So, yeah, I mean, you're doing the right things. I think you've done some public meetings. I believe you've been to the Planning Commission. In fact, I think the Planning Commission recommended approval on the rezoning. Yeah? Do you want to speak to that?
Yes, the members of the Planning Commission recommended rezoning.
Right. Okay.
Then there was an open meeting on October 15.
Right.
That's where things turned around a bit. The story behind that is that it was during the Jewish holiday. So none of us were there. And so really there was one side, the side of the neighbors, who are not comfortable with change, as you described. And so the members of the council committee recommended 5-1 to deny approval for the rezone.
Right.
It came as a shock to us, especially the number 5-1. It's like a big statement, and I felt that wasn't fair. And so we are very, very aware of what's the situation today. And one of the things we are doing is to communicate and to share with the community who we are. To give you one point of reference, the issue of traffic, and I would agree, I spend too much time in traffic. Our service is held Saturday morning, or as we call it, Shabbat morning. Probably most people are still asleep or having their first cup of coffee. That's when we are doing services. Primarily, that's going to be the focal point of a congregation of service, and that is Saturday, Shabbat. And so there's not much traffic going on Shabbat, or it's going to be a class in the evening, let's say about 8 o'clock in the evening. So yes, there's going to be traffic, and we are allowed to bring traffic because that O&I piece of property allows us to build today and to bring a measured amount of traffic. But that's the point is that we want to do this in a peaceful way, where everyone agrees and everyone sees our passion and everyone sees our vision. I'm looking for partners. I'm always looking for people to partner with me. I can't do it alone. I wasn't supposed to do it alone. I'm going to make others into leaders. And the first thing about being a leader is, do you care?
So now you're taking some time. You're going to be helping out people publicly, educating people about Chabad. There's going to be another city council meeting?
March 24th.
March
at 7 o'clock. The city council will make their final vote with the mayor. Okay. And so we're doing everything we can between now and then to bring the community together, right. Understanding, peaceful conversations, sure. Harmonious conversations, really to understand the diversity of this community and that there's wonderful's in all of us. And so over the next 60 days or so, we are going to do some amazing things in this community to bring us together so that on March 24th, it's an easy decision.
And also to address, I'm sure there'll be some addressing of one of the critical issues, I guess, that was brought up. So then you can address the community's concern or the neighbors' concerns about traffic in that area.
Yes.
So, I mean, that makes sense. I think once those things are addressed, obviously, yes. I think, and they're legitimate things to be addressed, seriously. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we're at the end of our time together.
So fast.
I know, right? Some people think we don't have enough to talk about, but you could go on things. And I do appreciate the sharing of the philosophy, Rabbi, of Scott, you being here as well. And Jim, of course, always good to talk to you.
And I'd like to answer your questions. The next public event that we're holding is the 20th, which is next Monday.
Okay.
And that's Mayor Mike Mason as our speaker.
Excellent. He's a good speaker.
Then in February, and this is available on websites, on the 17th of February, 17th of February, we have the writer Bill Torpy of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution will be our speaker for our February meeting. And then in March, although we don't have a complete confirmation on this, person that I've met several times has agreed to be a speaker, and that's the former Atlanta pitcher, John Smoltz, will be our speaker.
Cool.
And then we'll progress till there. If we get lucky enough, maybe the rabbi will come and be our speaker.
You're lucky.
Share the philosophy. All right,
thank you for that plug.
Am I not?
Yes, you are.
February 27th?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
By the way, they can go to or Google Marriott Queen and just click on Men's Club or the events tab and find
That's correct.
All right, cool. And then as far as Chabad of Gwinnett, it's chabadofgwinnett.org.
Exactly.
Correct. And people could go there, find out a little bit more about Chabad.
And contact me.
And contact you.
Me.
Yes.
I'm not hiding. I want to be right there with you. I'm one who wants to create relationships, and I'm a people's person, and I want to connect.
Rabbi, what's your phone number?
678-595-0196.
You're a brave man.
I just gave it out.
And by the way, he helps people of all religions.
Yes.
He really is a people of God.
It's funny, when I was in Brooklyn, I had my own rabbi. I would always go, wasn't a real rabbi. He was Jewish, but he was my rabbi. He's the go-to guy I would always ask questions and advice.
And I'm always open. I'm 770-364-6359. If you want to know why we're supporting the Chabad, give me a call.
Excellent. And of course, you guys know where to reach me. My email address is rico@mightyrockets.com. But my phone number is out there also. It's in the magazine, Peachtree Corners Magazine. We're working on a new article, new magazine. They'll be coming out February, March. So look for that. This was a great podcast. I just want to put one more time, less stress, more joy in your life is a good place to be, no matter who you are.
Amazon.com, $3.58.
Thanks, Scott.
Beautiful book. I love it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Rico, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Peachtree Corners Life with Rico Figliolini. You can listen to our live stream on Spreaker every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. or on demand at iHeartRadio, Spotify, and iTunes. Don't forget to like our Facebook page for notification of our live video streams of the show. Catch our other podcast shows at PeachtreeCornersLife.com.